Good morning, sir. I am the first reporter of grading system norm reference grading. I am Jevi Joy Figueredo, attendance number 16. So, grading system. Grading system is the process by which educators evaluate the performance of pupils in exams on the standard particular skills, which is based on points entirely and consists of the grades like A to F, and numbers are A to F or range like 1 to 10. Generally, numbers are used to describe the grades of the scholars. So, a grading system in education is a system that is used to assess educational performance of a child, which is entirely based upon points alone. So, in grading system, is the system that is school has developed to guide how teachers assess and grade the students' work, and it is also the process of applying standardized measurements of varying levels achievement in a course. So it means in grading system, ito yung paano mo i-assess yung estudyante at paano at ito yung magiging guide kung paano i-grade yung estudyante natin. Paano tayo magbigay ng assessment sa student, and kung paano ang pag-grade natin, at saka may standard ito sa grading system. So, a grading system is an educational system that is used to assess the educational performance of a child, which is entirely based upon the points alone. So, the grading system helps in developing the evaluation system. So, teacher can evaluate students' performance by looking at their grades. So, and grading system of evaluation help the student to set short-term goals so that they can improve their grades. And the least important function of grading system of evaluation is that is used for administrative purposes. So we proceed to the purpose of grading system. So the main purpose of grading system is to provide clarity to students, teachers about the performance in subject areas of study, so that they can work on weaknesses and achieve better results. It also helps teacher to determine student effort in their studies and motivate students to improve their ranking. So in grading system, dito mo masusukat if yung estudyante is may nalalaman ba sa topic, and makategorize mo ang isang student based sa kanyang pinapakita. And the history of the grading system was invented in 1972 by William Farish, a teacher at Cambridge University in England, who wanted to understand what students were thinking if they understand the topics. So that would be all, sir. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. So my topic is all about the features of grading. So when student level of performance are classified into a few classificatory units using letter grade, the system of assessment is called grading system. In grading, classification is made on a 5-point, 7.9-point scale. It is a score. It identifies the student performance level with a wide range. It involved the use of set of specialized symbols whose meaning ought to be objectively defined in terms of specific criteria.
Morning, sir. My topic is all about multiply the grades to number of units. To multiply the grades by number of units, you need to have a list of grades and corresponding list of the number of units for each grade. Example, grade is 90, tas ang unit is 3. Grade is 85, the unit is 4. The grade is 95, tas ang unit is 2. Step 1. Calculate the weight grade for each course. For each course, multiply the grade by number of units. Example, course 90 times 3 equals 270. Course 2, 85 times 4 equals 340. Course 3, 95 times 2 equals 190. Step 2. Calculate the total weight grade. Sum up the weight grades from step 1. Total weight grade equals 270 plus 340 plus 190 equals 800. Step 3. Calculate the total number of units. Sum up the number of units for all course. Total units equals 3 plus 4 plus 2 equals 9. Step 4. Calculate the weight average grade. Divide the total weight grade by the total number of units. Weight average grade equals 800 divided by 9 is equal to 88.89. Get the average of grades and the number of units. To get the average of grades and the number of units, we need to clarify what kind of average is desired. Number 1, average of grades. This is a simple average of grades themselves ignoring the number of units. Number 2, average of units. This is a simple average of the number of units for each course. Number 3, weight average grade. This is the average grade taking into account the number of units per course as calculated in the previous response. This is generally the most meaningful average in academic context. What's the standard deviation of grades? We'll calculate the standard deviation of grades 90, 85, 95. The units are irrelevant for calculating the standard deviation of grades themselves. Step 1. Calculate the mean average of the grades. Step 2. Calculate the square difference from the mean. Step 3. Calculate the average of square difference. This is the variance. Step 4. Calculate the standard deviation. This is the square root of the variance. The standard deviation of grades is approximately 4.08. This indicates the typical amount by which individual grades deviate from the mean grade of 90. Divide its average to the total units. To divide the average grade by the total number of units, we need the average grade and the total number of units. Let's use this example data from a previous calculation. Average grade 90 calculated as simple average of grades ignoring units. Total units 9. 3 plus 4 plus 2. Calculation. Average grade total units equals 90 divided by 9 equals 10. The result of dividing the average grade 90 by the total number of units 9 is 10. Note that this calculation is different from the weight average grade calculated earlier. The weight average considers the contribution of each grade based on its associated number of units, while this calculation simply divides the average grade by the total units.
So, good morning, sir. Good morning, classmates. My name is Sanergy Canapia. My topic is all about decision making. Decision making, perhaps the most critical teaching skills. The key to being a good teacher lies decision that the teachers make. Decision making is the process of selecting a course of action among several available options. It involves evaluating and analyzing the benefits and risks of each choice. So we have an example. Number one, critical thinking. This aids decision making by allowing you to analyze, evaluate, and interpret information objectively. Number two, cost benefit analysis. This assists in decision making by quantifying and comparing the anticipated costs and benefits of an action. So, this is the end of my topic. Thank you.
Number 4, organization. A grade helps mark transitions, bring closure, and focus efforts for both teacher and students. So in here, teachers need to establish clear and thoughtful criteria and standards to student work. So teachers must create clear guidelines for evaluating student work. These criteria should be well defined and consistently applied. Next is exercise professional judgment. While criteria provide a framework, teachers need to use their professional judgment to assess student work holistically, considering individual circumstances. So there are two conflicting roles of teaching, which is the coaches and the judges. So coaches observe and monitor student progress, while judges evaluate student performance and assign grades. So as we all know, teachers themselves are often judged by the grades they give. So teachers' grading practices are often subject to scrutiny and evaluation. So underscoring the importance of fairness and consistency in their grading. So in summary, these notes explore the complexities of grading, emphasizing the need for clear criteria, professional judgment, and awareness of the inherent tension between the roles of teaching as observer and evaluator.
Good day everyone, I am Hasbani Ali Kailo, and my report is all about the two types of grading. We have two types of grading. The number one is norm reference grading or reflect relative performance, and the next one is criterion reference grading or reflect absolute performance. So, ang una kong tatalakayin ay ang norm reference system. In norm reference system, students are evaluated in relationship to one each other. Example, the top 10% of students receive an A and the next 30% receive a B, and etc. This grading system rests on the assumption that the level of student performance will not vary much from class to class. In this system, the instructor usually determines the percentage of students assigned each grade, although this percentage may be determined or what at least influenced by departmental expectation and policy. And in norms reference grading, we have advantage. Then the first one is norm reference system are very easy to use, and the next one is they work well in situation requiring rigid differentiation among students where for example, program size restriction may limit the number of students advancing to high-level course. And the third one is they are all generally appropriate in large courses that do not encourage cooperation among students but generally stress individual achievement. The next one is the number 2 is criterion reference grading or reflect absolute performance. In criterion reference system, students are evaluated against an absolute scale. Example, 95 to 100 is equal 10, and 88 to 94 is equivalent of B, and etc. Normally, the criteria are set number of point of percentage of the total. Since the standard is absolute, it is possible that all students could get A's or all students could get D's. The advantage of criterion reference system is students are not competing with each other and are thus more likely to actively
help each other. A student grade is not influenced by the caliber of the class. And the disadvantage of this grading it uh, it is difficult to set reasonable criteria for the student without a fair amount of teaching experience. Most experienced faculty set this criteria on their knowledge of how student usually performs, thus making it fairly similar in norm reference system. That's all.
Norm reference grading or reflect relative performance. Compare an examinee's performance to the other examinees. So norm reference grading, this method uses a normal distribution to see how students perform compared to the average. Think of it like a bell curve. Students who score above average get higher, while those below average get lower grades. While relative performance, this is similar to norm reference grading. It focuses on how well a student does compared to their classmates, not on absolute knowledge. For example, if everyone in the class does poorly on a test, but one student does poorly but one of the students does better than the rest, they might still get a good grade even if they didn't get many questions right. Criterion reference grading or reflect absolute performance. Each examinee's performance is compared to a predefined set of criteria or a standard. Criterion reference grading, these methods set a specific learning goals or criteria that students need to meet. The grade reflects how well they achieve those goals, regardless of how others perform. Imagine a test where you need to get 80% of the question right to pass. It doesn't matter if everyone else fails, you pass if you meet the criteria. So criterion reference grading is good because it focuses on learning. It encourages students to learn the material deeply, not just try to do better than others. And criterion grading is good because it is fair. It's more fair to students who learn a different species or have different strengths and weaknesses.
Good day, sir. My name is Shaina Tilingatong from BS3 Social Studies A, and my topic is all about the 4 questions in grading, according to Miss Vinike. So, it is important to study this because the way grades are calculated can significantly impact students' motivation, learning, and overall success. So, first question is, should grades reflect absolute achievement level or achievement relative to others in the same class? So this question asks whether grades should reflect a student absolute level of achievement on a particular standard or their relative performance compared to their peers in the same class. So absolute grading focuses on each student's individual performance or yung tinatawag nating criterion reference interpretation where students are graded through following objective standards. While yung relative grading compares students within the same class or norm reference interpretation kung saan students will be graded through comparing his or her performance to the other performance. So, both methods have their advantages and disadvantages, no? So, absolute grading can be more equitable and motivating for students who may struggle compared to their peers, while related or relative grading can encourage healthy competition and motivate students to work harder. Question is, should grades reflect achievement only or non-academic components such as attitude, speed, and diligence? So this question asks whether grades should reflect a student's academic achievement alone, or if they should also consider non-academic factors such as attitude, work habits, and effort. So, it is important because including non-academic factors in grading can provide a more holistic views of student performance and development. So, kung holistic is completely. So, however, it can also be subjected or open to bias. Educator must ensure that non-academic factors are evaluated consistently and fairly across all students. Tapos, there is a risk of penalizing students who may struggle with non-academic factor but excel academically. Therefore, kailangan talagang i-balance. It is important to balance the academic achievement with the recognition of non-academic factor when determining grades. So, yun. So, let's proceed to question number 3. Should grade report status, achieve, or amount of growth? So, this question is important because it determines whether the grade report should focus on the student, kumbaga, current level of achievement or their growth over time. So, um, yun, the decision will depend on the goal sa grading system and the preferences of the instructor or institution. So, yun yung question number 3. So, sa question number 4, how can several grades or on diverse skills combine to give a single mark? So, this question is important because it addresses the challenges of combining grades on diverse skills or subject into a single mark. Different courses or assignments may emphasize different skills or knowledge areas, and it can be challenging to weight this equally when you are calculating a grade. The method used to combine grades can significantly impact the fairness and accuracy of the grading process. So, for example, using a weighted average can ensure nga each grade given appropriate weight based on the importance or relevance to overall course objectives. So, using a curve grading system can adjust grades based on the performance of the entire class. So, taking into account factors such as difficulty level and distribution of grades. These questions are important to study as they determine the fairness, transparency, and effectiveness of the grading system. So, this will be the end of my report. Thank you very much.
Good day, sir. Good day, everyone. So, I am Alnisa Luminog, and my report is all about the 2 types of grading system used in the Philippines. So, in my report, dito natin malalaman kung paano nga ba tayo binibigyan ng grado ng ating mga teacher. So, there have 2 types of grading system used in the Philippines. So, the first one is cumulative grading system. So, cumulative grading system is the grade of a student in a grading period equals his current grading period which is assumed to have the cumulative effects of the previous grading periods. Ibig sabihin, ang cumulative grading system is your final grades depend on all the points you get through the whole term. ibig sabihin, ang cumulative grading is nakabase siya sa buong term or sa buong school year yung final grade ni student. So, just like for example, we have so let's say, sa preliminary grade, ang score ni student is 75. Sa midterm grade is 85. Now, our tentative final grade is 90. So, how can we calculate the final grade of the student using the cumulative grading system? So, to calculate the final grade using a cumulative grading system where the midterm count as 40%. So, let's say yung midterms is a 40%. Then, ang tentative naman is 60%. So, the formula is final grade is equals to 0.4 times midterm grade plus 0.6 times tentative final grade. So, ngayon, saan galing si 0.4? So, si 0.4 is the 40% ng midterm, and the 0.6 naman is ang 60% ng tentative final grade natin. So, using the formula, so final grade is equals to 0.4 times ang kanyang midterm grade na 85 plus 0.6 times 90 na tentative final grade ni student. So, let's solve. 0.4 times 85 is equals to 34 plus 0.6 times 90 is 54. So, now, using the cumulative grading system, the final grade of the student is 88. So in conclusion, ang cumulative grading system is nakabase siya sa whole grade ng isang students sa whole semester or sa school year. So, para maintindihan, let us proceed sa second grading system na ginagamit sa Pilipinas. So, the second one is the averaging grading system. So, averaging grading system is the grade of the student in a particular grading period equals the average of the grades obtained in the prior grading periods and the current grading period. So, we are actually familiar of the averaging grading system kasi ito yung madalas ginagamit. Way back in our high school, ito yung ginagamit ni teacher sa paggrado sa kanyang student. So, averaging grading system, your final grade is just the average of all your scores in assignments or test. All assignments count the same. They add up your scores and divided by how many assignment they are. So, sa cumulative, diba, is nakabase siya in overall, yung pagbibigay ng grado. While sa average grading system naman, is hinati siya. So, just like for example, diba, in school year, mayroong 4 na quarter. So, kada quarter, nagbibigay si teacher ng grado or average. So, halimbawa, sa first quarter, mayroon ka 90, second quarter, 89, sa third quarter, 90, so, sa fourth quarter is 90. So, ang average grading system is kada quarter nagbibigay si teacher ng grado and then sum up that grades of yours or that average of yours and they divided it into 4. So, let's say for example, mayroon tayong tatlong term. Halimbawa, 87 ka sa preliminary. So, 94 ka naman sa middle or midterm and 83 ka sa final. So, para makuha ang final grade mo using the average grading system, so you add your grade such as 87 plus 94 plus 83 and you divided it. So, i-divide mo siya kung magkano yung term or yung quarter nyo in school. So, divided by 3 is equals to 88. So, now, your final grade for the semester would be 88. So, that is the average. So, ano yung kaibahan ni cumulative at si averaging grading system? So, ang kaibahan nila, si cumulative nakabase siya sa whole semester or whole school year. Unlike kay average grading system, nakabase siya by average. So, hinati siya into 4 or into 3 term. Depende sa school or depende sa grading system or depende sa quarter na meron ang teacher. So, that's all. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. I am Taya Mangkog, the next reporter of the Group 2. And my topic today is all about the standardized test. Standardized test scoring. So, Standardized test scoring is a process by which a teacher or a researcher made tests and validated and item analyzed. So, calculated by adjusting row score to have some mean and standard deviation. Standardized test scoring ay ginagawa ito para ipaalam sa mga students if how many standard deviation a student row score is above or below sa standard na score. So, to calculate a standardized score, pwede tayong gumamit ng formula. Number 1, divide the row score by the standard deviation. Number 2 is multiply the result by 15. Number 3, add 100 to the result. So, example, ang student ay nakakuha ng 26 out of 40. Out of 40 on the test, with the mean of 28 and the standard deviation of their standardized score would be 95%. So, standardized test scoring are important because they provide a consistent score system to reduce bias and tinitiyak ang fair at tamang resulta and set a benchmark for comparing a performance, hold teacher accountable and support educator in crafting their curriculum. So next is the standardized test. Standardized test is any form of test that requires all test takers to answer the same questions or a selection of questions from common bank of questions in the same way, and that is scored is a standard or consistent manner which make it possible. So, example nito is the LSAT, Low School Admission Test, is only the standard test designed specifically for low school admission. Another example is the SAT or SAT, Scholastic Assessment Test, entrance exam that measure a student's knowledge of math, reading, writing, and college readiness. Last is the GRE, Graduate Record Exam, and etc. So, standardized test ay isang karaniwang kasanayan or ginagawa in the modern academic na kung saan ang mga students ay nag-take nito as early as preschool. Madalas ito ang ginagawa upang pumili ng ang mga mag-aaral for specific programs. And that's all, and thank you.